D, wait for it, light bulb.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So for this video, I'm going to be doing a review for season 1 of Superman and Lois. Before I get started, though, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine always get pushed to the back of the line. So I please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So I just want to say, as far as the overall show goes, I really like this show. I covered it. You guys can check out the playlist up here of all the episodes and stuff. And I really liked this show. I thought it was great. It was written well. I thought the effects were great. I liked that, one thing that really bothers me about TV these days is they always do identity politics. It always focuses on some kind of political stance. And I really feel like this show did not do that. And if it did do it, it did it in such small ways that you just couldn't tell. So so I really liked it a lot and everything. And you can check out my breakdowns and everything. Yeah, it's such a great show. Now, I'm going to go through the characters and everything and how I felt about each character. I'm only going to do like the main ones and stuff, but just basically how I felt about those characters and stuff. And I want to say that now there were mistakes in each and every live action adaptation of Superman that we've seen, and it seems to carry over into the comic books and then back onto the big screen. But I have decided in this to cut out all the fat and trim it down to the things that this Superman absolutely needed to get right and for it to work. And if they hadn't changed these things, which they definitely would be perpetuating having this conversation about how Superman, for some odd reason, just can't work on the as a live action adaptation. And one thing that I think that the show got right was the fact that Krypton doesn't matter. Sure, it matters in the sense that it's where Kal-El is from, and the villain of this season is from in season 1, and they're both from Krypton. But overall, I think it focused on much better things. I mean, the fact that Krypton doesn't matter, because the problem of overemphasizing Krypton has been an issue with the Superman character ever since the original Christopher Reeves movie. And the reason I'm highlighting this as a point of interest is because prior to this point, while Jor-El did exist while Superman was a Kryptonian, this was never really a key part of his character. It was only when Marlon Brando was cast as Jor-El, hot off of the Godfather franchise. And they did rewrite his role to start to expand in the movies. And then the comic books followed up on that by expanding him to be a more important figure. However, this runs contrary to the character of Superman, and this runs contrary to what makes him as an enjoyable person. And they expanded on Marlon Brando, like I said, because he was hot off the Godfather, and they were like, great, he's a star. This part is small. We should give him a bigger role. And that's why the first like 20 minutes of the first Superman movie is huge. Like all the stuff on Krypton is very boring, and they added Marlon Brando in there. They needed to expand that part and everything. Now, you see, the thing that makes Superman is not his Kryptonian origins again. He arrived on Earth as a baby with no memory of his home world. And the thing that makes Superman are the people who found him here on Earth, aka Jonathan and Martha Kent. And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't really matter where Superman came from or who his biological parents are. He could have been made in a lab and then dropped off in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't matter. What matters is that these two morally sound people known as Jonathan and Martha Kent found him as a baby and raised him up to be the honorable person that he is today, Superman. This is a nurture story, not a nature story. And I think that that's really important to remember. And the more we shift focus away from the Kents and start focusing towards Krypton and toward Jor-El, the more we disconnect with Superman, because although he's an alien, Superman is raised by the best in terms of moral virtue, of the best of humanity has to offer, which is why he is reflective of our best values. And this is the basis for the way a number of different Superman stories have gone. For instance, Superman Red Sun, which is where Superman actually landed in the Soviet Union during the Stalin era instead of landing in America and raised by the Kent. Again, the best of humanity has to offer. Instead, he is raised in the Soviet Union basically as an apprentice to Joseph Stalin. And the reason that story works is because we all understand that Superman is a nurture story, not a nature story. That if he was raised by communists in the Soviet Union, he would turn out to be a horrible dictator, as what is produced in the communist countries. But because he was raised by the most moral of humans, Superman reflects the best of society. And Superman Red Sun is far from the only story that acknowledges how important the Kents are versus Superman's Kryptonian origins. For instance, the entire basis of the CW show, Smallville, revolved around this principle. In fact, they actually added the character Lionel Luthor as a character in a way to, that he was never portrayed in the comics. So we could contrast his parenting of Lex Luthor and how Lex Luthor would eventually turn out with how Jonathan and Martha Kent raised Clark in order to be our hero Superman. And I think that the greatest gift that Clark Kent actually received were none of the abilities that he has naturally on the planet Earth. It was finding Jonathan and Martha Kent and being raised by them. And on a quick side note, I know that a lot of people like to hate on Smallville because it was made for teens and it had a lot of soap opera drama, and a lot of times their ambitions far outweighed their budget. But you got to give credit where credit is due. They got this stuff right about the character. And for one thing that I think that this show really does well, Superman and Lois, I think does really well, is the fact that they took the balance of Superman's Krypton origin with having his father in there, Jor-El, every now and then, but very sparingly. I enjoyed that. And then we had him lose him in episode 11, I don't remember, but it mostly emphasizes on the fact that he was more of a man raised on Earth by two people with outstanding morals. So I think that says a lot. So now moving on to the characters, I want to talk about Superman. Tyler Hoechlin is a great Superman. He does Superman well. He does Superman justice, in my opinion. I really enjoyed him as Jor-El. One thing that I also think that they did really well is, and I get annoyed, is they always think that Superman is space Jesus. You know, he's Jesus in these movies and shows. He's not Jesus, okay? He's not a god. He's like a demigod kind of thing. What I liked about this show is, and the original movie with Christopher Reeve is, in the original movie, they had Jonathan Kent die of a heart attack or some ailment or whatnot. And in this one, Jonathan Kent died also of a heart attack, but and then his mother died later on of old age. And I think that it shows that Superman, because I think that when you focus on the Kryptonian origins, Superman's just an alien flying around saving people. But I think when you show stuff like that, it shows that there's things that he can't save people from, like his parents. He couldn't save them from dying. There's nothing he could have done to save his mother from dying. And that part was so touching. I cried. It was so sad. But I think that Tyler Hoechlin does a great job here of vulnerability with Superman and Clark. I think that he shows, the strength of Superman, not only physically, but morally and, emotionally. He's there for Lois when she needs him. And then he's emotional himself. He tells himself all the time, like when he says he's angry and he's trying to control his anger. And then when he admits to himself, but not out loud, that it was nice to let go of that anger and just let it loose. I really enjoyed that about Superman. And I think that it really touched into, that even though he wants to let go, he knows he can't. And I think that struggle that we saw with him was great. I really enjoyed it. So moving on to Lois Lane, played by Elizabeth Tulloch. I really liked Lois in this show. Her vulnerability as a mother, as a wife, and as a woman, trying to navigate all of this was great. Oh, and as a daughter, it was great. The fact that she was vulnerable as a mother, the fact that she had lost a child, in her early days, and then almost losing her children now, you could see the emotion. And I really think that Elizabeth Tulloch did such a great job with this character, just really showing that she's a strong, independent woman as a writer, as a businesswoman, especially at the end when she goes into the partnership with what's her face at the Smallville Gazette. But even though she's this strong, independent woman that Clark loves, she's still vulnerable, and she still has that emotion that you see when it comes to her children and when it comes to Clark. You can tell that she loves Clark, and that when he's in danger, she feels it. As a daughter, you can see the anger that she feels at her father, that he's chosen a career over his family. And as a father, he chose his career because he thought he was doing the best thing to support his family financially, that's the thing it takes as a man in today's society and a father, is you constantly have to provide. You're a provider. That's our role as a father. Even if we're not making, more money than our wives, we're still feel like we have to provide for our children / our family. So I did feel for General Lane in that sense. And then at the end, he did decide to step away from his job and focus on his family. So good for him. I'm not going to talk about him any more than that. Back to Lois Lane. I really did feel for her. And then I did feel for her as a friend. She was trying with John Henry Irons. She was trying to be there for him. And at the end, he was basically like, I can't be here with you because all I see is the woman that I love. And you're not that woman, but that's all I see. So I have to get away from you. And I felt that, and she was like, I want you to stay because you're such a good person and you're helping us out. And, I love you as a person, but I understand that you can't be around me because of that. And I totally got that. And she's so good. Now I want to move over to Jordan Alassas. I don't know, Alassas. I don't know, Jonathan Kent. He is the older of the two twins, and I loved this character. The actor did a great job, and as the more alpha male out of the two twins, I really felt like he supported his brother. They moved to Smallville. He gave up so much of his life. He gave up football. That was his identity, being a football player. He gave up his popularity. He gave up his girlfriend, his relationship. He gave all of it away to move to Smallville to be there for his brother who, we found out has superpowers. And I really think that he was really supportive. And then the times when he wanted something, like when his brother joined the football team, he's like, that's my identity. And I feel like you're stealing it from me. And I felt for him. I felt like the show was kind of shitting on him. And he was such a good person, also raised by Clark and Lois, two morally sound people. I feel like they're also kind of like Jonathan and Martha Kent in the fact that they're what the best of humanity has to offer. They're good people. They stand up for their morals, and they stand up for the little guy kind of thing. And I really love that about it. I thought the parenting in this show was positive, and I think that everybody can, and on Jonathan Irons, which I'm going to talk about later, his parenting also really, which also goes to show, maybe Lois Lane is the glue here, but it goes to show that, you can be good people and good parents and raise really strong, good people as well. So moving over to Alex Garfin as Jordan Kent. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This character was so freaking annoying at the beginning of the season. Like, see episodes 1 through, I think, 6. What a total pussy. Oh, my gosh. This kid was annoying as all get out. Now, I understand he was going through some I don't want to say mental illness or whatnot, but he got anxiety, he had to take medication. That I understand. But then he gets these powers and he's totally whiny about it. He's all like, I'm different. Listen, I live in the real world. If you told me tomorrow I have superpowers, I'd be all like, yay. and everything. That would be the best thing ever. So he's all sitting here whining about like, I have powers, I'm different. You were different before, now you're just different but cooler. Okay, so he was being very whiny, and I just got sick and tired. I was sick and tired of this kid, like straight up and everything, like so whiny. But then he pulled it together, realized that his superpowers, his differences made him stronger, not just physically, but character wise. He and he was a good person always, but he was just a whiny little bitch, and it got on my nerves, like seriously got on my nerves. But I did like seeing him at the end develop into this strong, independent person that owned his powers, and he was better for it. Now the Cushings slash Lana Lang, I'll just touch on them. They were okay. Nothing special. I mean, yeah, I don't want to talk about them anymore because I put them in the back of my mind. So I want to talk about two more characters and then I'll wrap it all up. John Henry Irons, the stranger, played by Wool Parks. I think that's how you say his name. He did such a great job. I love this character. I'm glad that he wasn't Lex Luthor. I'm so happy about that because that would have been a little bit of annoying. I wouldn't mind if they brought Lex Luthor in, but I liked that he came in and he was kind of like, you thought he was going to be this huge bad guy, but really he was a good guy. And he ended up being, the part that kind of helped Clark out / saved Clark. I thought that I loved how he, struggled with, like I said before, he struggled with the fact that every time he saw Lois from this earth, he saw the woman that he loved, not a completely different person. And that he recognized that he couldn't stay there because he was in love with her still, even though this was not his wife. His wife died. And I also like that you saw the struggle of the fact that he left his daughter behind. I mean, at the end, she comes around, but I mean, like, when he thought he had left her behind to die, he thought she was dead. And you saw that in episode, I think 14, where he, Jonathan was all like, oh, she sounds that's pretty bad ace that she helped you build this or something like that. And he was all like, she was 14 years old, building robots when she should have been, having a good time or whatnot. And I thought that this character was badass. I mean, he was so badass. He had the hammer. I wish he would have looked more like the comic book character. I didn't like the helmet, even though it was pretty cool. His whole outfit, I love that he had the hammer. I hope in season 2 he looks more comic book accurate, but if he doesn't, I'm totally fine with it. He still looks pretty cool. Hopefully he gets a cape. I hope he gets a cape. I like the cape. I know, no capes, but I like the cape. And so the last one I want to talk about is the villain of this, Morgan Edge / Tal-Rho. Now, this is not a comic book character. Unless it is, I haven't read that comic book. I read a lot of comic books / read a lot of comic books. DC is my favorite out of all the comics. I love their characters, but I've never read this. I've never seen this character in the comic books. I'm pretty sure they made it up for this show, but I don't know. So don't get mad at me if it's a comic book character and I don't know about it. But he did become the vessel to change people from Earth into Kryptonians, which I actually kind of liked that whole story plot, that you could transfer subconsciousness into other people. It's a very intellectual conversation about, consciousness. Where does consciousness come from? Can it be transferred? Can you save consciousness? All that good stuff. I know they didn't really touch into that kind of stuff in this show because it's a very heady kind of conversation and they just lightly touched on it, but it's very interesting and it just shows the technology of Krypton, in the terms of this reality. But Morgan Edge, I thought this guy I liked it better when he was Tal-Rho opposed to the Eradicator. I think that's what it was called. But I did like him. I thought he was good. It was a good bad guy. It was a good villain. Hopefully it doesn't come back for season 2. I hope they save this for some other time. I don't want Tal-Rho to come back for like at least another 2 seasons. Like he can come back maybe season 4, like he breaks out with what's her face and they go off and do something. I don't know. But I did like this villain. I thought it was good. I like that his dad was, I like that he was the contrast to Superman / Clark Kent. And I love that he was raised by a father who was a total douchebag and totally ugly. Lara Zor-El did a good job leaving him because he was not attractive. I wouldn't have fucked him, not even a little bit. But I mean, Jor-El wasn't hot either. He was kind of gross too, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyways, so overall, I thought that Superman and Lois season 1 is such a fantastic dive into Superman mythos that I think that maybe they should develop this into a comic book. Tal-Rho should go into the comic books and become a comic book character, unless he already is, and I know. And I think that this show has legs to stand on. I think that if you don't like this show, something's wrong with you. I don't know what's wrong with you, but something's wrong with you because this show is fantastic. 100%. Every episode delivered, every episode pulled it together. And kudos to the showrunners and the writers on this show. From what I understand, they just like kind of hodgepodged it together, but it worked. And it comes down to, when it comes to writing, if you write a good show, people recognize that. So that is my review of Superman and Lois season 1. I really liked it. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, cool. If you didn't, and something's wrong with you. But tell me, what did you guys think about this season? Did you like it? Did you not like it? All that good stuff. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys when Superman and Lois returns. You guys have a good day. Bye.